Yesterday we were talking about Buddha as a guide, who shows the way to all beings, the right path leading to the right destination, safe land, the land of peace and security. If the Buddha has shown this path, then this path must be the right path. If one walks this path, practices this path, one is bound to be free from harm, from danger, and one will gain the benefit of oneself and others, and the benefit of the present and future, both in the present and future. Because the path has been constructed, so all one has got to do is just walk the path, practice the path, and as much as one does, one is bound to reach the right destination, safe land, land of peace and security. So as much as one walks this path, one is bound to reach place of peace and security, place of safety. Suppose one walks the path of sila, practice sila, morality. As much as one does, one is bound to gain the benefit, the corresponding benefit, according to one's practice of sila, morality. And if one practices concentration, one is bound to gain the benefit according to the practice of concentration. And if one cultivates wisdom, insight, knowledge, panya, one is bound to gain the benefit in accordance with the practice of panya. So, the Buddha has a guide, has given this path. And why is this path correct? So, we have to think about it. Today we shall discuss on this subject. Whether you want to save one person or many persons from suffering, just the possession of jnana, wisdom or knowledge is not enough. Nor is it enough to possess just compassionate feeling, karuna. One has got to possess both wisdom and compassion. Only then one can save others. This is the thing, this is what you should understand as a basic understanding. We need this quality, the epithet which is possessed by the Buddha, Vajja Sarana Sampanno, which is one of the qualities of the Buddha. Vajja, one must be fulfilled with both Vajja and Sarana. Vajja means knowledge or wisdom, and Sarana is basic conduct. This Vajja ranges from the stage of the power of reason to ranging from the power of reason, knowing the past lives and possessing Deva Chakku, you're able to see you can see like the divine eye, and drying up all the kilesas to the point of no return, asvakya jnana. So in short, one is fulfilled, the Buddha is fulfilled with Vajja, wisdom or knowledge. And as for Sarana, basic conduct, there are 15 basic conduct. And he also possesses the Mahakaruna. He can be absorbed in the Mahakaruna Samapatti. He can be absorbed in the great compassionate feeling, and can always watch the beings, the suffering beings, destitute beings, whether the beings are enduring suffering with Sabinyuta Jnana, omniscient knowledge. Seeing these destitute people who need help, pathetic people, pitiable people, with Sabinyuta Jnana, omniscient knowledge, one must possess Mahakaruna, great compassionate feeling. And this is Sarana Sampatti, possession of basic conduct. So one must possess panya, both panya and karuna, wisdom and compassionate feeling. With compassionate feeling, one can understand one can correct oneself, cultivate oneself, and also know what is beneficial and what is not beneficial for others. One understands. That is the wisdom aspect, penya. And with wisdom, one knows what is kusala, wholesome deeds. If it's wholesome, this has to be performed. If one performs wholesome deeds, one is bound to gain positive, wholesome results. One must know with wisdom what is akusala, unwholesomeness. If one knows this as unwholesomeness, then one can abstain from it, or one can prevent others to cause others to abstain from this, so that one will not endure unwholesome results, and so on. In this way, one knows what is good, what is bad, so that there will not be any results from unwholesome deeds, and there will only be results from wholesome deeds. So, just knowing is not enough. I mean, possessing knowledge or wisdom is not enough. And one must know what is beneficial, what is not beneficial. If it's akusala, this one will be led to this stage of suffering. So one must know what is right and what is wrong, so that one will not wish others to endure suffering, so that one can guide the right path in order to reach the right destination. That is the result of Mahakaruna, great compassionate feeling. With Mahakaruna is very important in that one can abstain from wrong path and walk the right path. Such quality has to be possessed, so that one can walk the right path and abstain from walking the wrong path. So one must be fulfilled with these dual qualities, both qualities, that is wisdom and conduct, so that one can guide others. Not only can guide oneself, can practice by oneself, but also one can guide others to walk the right path. So, not that the Buddha possesses these two dual qualities at the time of enlightenment, but since the time of his Bodhisattva, who would be Buddha, since that time he had these two qualifications, namely wisdom and conduct, so that he possessed knowledge and conduct. Not to mention the qualities, such qualities which can be possessed, which he came to possess at the time of enlightenment. So from the stage of Bodhisattva, would-be Buddha, he has had these two qualities, Vijaya Sarana Sampanno. So with the knowledge, he can prevent others to do wrong things and exhort others to do what is right. And he can prevent others from walking the wrong path. So with this, at the same time, with this knowledge, by possessing knowledge, at the same time, because he has this Mahakaruna, great compassionate feeling, he can guide all beings to walk the right path. Not only did he possess knowledge for himself, but he possessed Karuna, Mahakaruna, compassionate feeling for the sake of others. This is the essence of this knowledge of wisdom and conduct. So, at times with Mahakaruna, great compassionate feeling, led as a leader, with Mahakaruna as a leader, he would protect others so that they would fall into the states of loss. And with knowledge, he can he can also observe what is good for himself, can protect himself. with knowledge he can protect himself. So in this way, he has these two kinds of qualities, Vijasarana Sampanno. One can protect oneself. At the same time, one can help others, safeguard others to walk the right path. So in this way, with these two, with Mahakaruna, great compassionate feeling, together with the possession of omniscient knowledge, he can guide all beings so that they can walk the right path to reach the right destination, the land, the safe land, land of peace and security. That's why Buddha is called a guide, Susiddhika. He is a good guide, so that by walking the right path, you're bound to reach the safe land. So by understanding this, one should be able to walk safely the right path, and this should be the only purpose, that is to reach the land of safety and no other purpose. The Buddha has this quality of being a good guide, and he has taken much time, taken pains, physically, mentally, at the risk of his life. He had fulfilled the perfection, spiritual perfection, paramis, beginning with the perfection of generosity, dana, accompanied with or led by Mahakaruna, great compassionate feeling. At this point, we should understand three samadhas. Samadhas given as success, accomplishment. There are three things, three successes or accomplishments. One is the hetu samadha, the accomplishment or success of cause. Another is phala samadha, accomplishment or success of result. And satupakara samadha, success or accomplishment as regards working for the benefit of all beings, helping all beings. Out of these three things, the first one is hetu samadha, the accomplishment or success of the cause or causes. Since the time of the life as a bodhisattva, Sumedha hermit, the time of Devangara Buddha, he had enough paramis. He could have attained arahantship, the final path, at that moment. If he had practiced, continued to practice, he could have become an arahant. Yet these qualities, he already possessed enough perfections. However, he thought like this. As much as he himself had to suffer, other people also are enduring this existential suffering of old age, disease and death. Once you come into existence, you are bound to suffer these existential sufferings, namely old age, disease and death. So as much as he is subject to this phenomena, others also will be subject to these sufferings. So that's what he thought to himself. So if now, in this life, he thought like this, if he tried to liberate himself from this suffering and attain arahantship, he could have done it, but it wouldn't be appropriate. It would have been for his self-interest. So he would forego this kind of opportunity to become an arahant in that life. Because all beings are suffering. So as much as he practiced, exerted energy to be liberated, he wanted others also to exert, to practice, to be liberated from suffering. That was his determination, his vows, to help others. So with this Mahakaruna, great compassionate feeling, he exchanged this arahantship, the opportunity for arahantship for this, or he exchanged Mahakaruna for this arahantship. In other words, he let go the opportunity of becoming an arahant and came to possess karuna instead. So he started performing the spiritual perfections, beginning with the spiritual perfection of generosity, dana. So this is how he possessed Mahakaruna, great compassionate feeling. Such is the accomplishment of the cause, Hetu Samara. With the fulfillment of perfections all along their lifetimes, until he came to the stage of, came to be reborn as Prince Siddhartha. He saw 4 signs. He saw the suffering, existential suffering, universal suffering of old age, disease and death by seeing these 4 signs. And he went in search of deathless state. He renounced great renunciation, went into the forest and practiced. In a sense, he practiced the way of mindfulness, Satipatthana, noting the 4 objects of attention, namely object of the mind, object of feeling, mind, mental objects, and general Dhamma objects, Kaya, Vedana, Citta, Dhamma. In other words, every arising object in the body, like what you all are doing. Of course, as Bodhisattva, about to become enlightenment, he would be better in all aspects. So he practiced this Purvabhaga Mega, the Purana or preliminary path, which is the mundane Lokiya path, which in a sense are the practice of the 3 trainings, Sila, Samadhi, Panya, morality, concentration, and wisdom, reaching the maturity of this practice until he was able to attain the 4 paths and 4 pillars, 4 paths and 4 fruits, the knowledge of the 4 paths and 4 fruits. And he was able to uproot all kilesas, beginning with avidya, ignorance, to a point of no return. So with Asvakya Jnana, he was able to attain this, was able to become enlightened. Of course, previous to that also, he had attained mundane or worldly knowledge. Of course, this would not be relevant here. So he was among the kilesas, impurities that he had abandoned, uprooted, overcome. Avidya was the first one. Avidya was one of them. Now this avidya, ignorance, is of 2 kinds. One is simple unknowing and knowing wrongly. 2 kinds. He was able to uproot these 2 kinds of ignorance, so that whenever he reflected upon anything that he wanted to know, and there's nothing that he didn't know, because of this uprooting of this avidya, he was able to know all knowable things, and he also attained this omniscient knowledge, Sabhita Jnana, Sabhinuda Jnana, automatically. And so the result of such paramis, spiritual perfections, which he had performed all along the lifetimes, become fulfilled, so that because of this, he was able to possess wisdom. So this is the result, and these are the things, and in terms of result, such is the accomplishment of success of the result, namely phala sampada. And in this way, phala sampada. This is the quality of the Buddha. Unknowing technique, layers of ignorance, not knowing the truth, knowing wrongly, and in 1 hour, 5 minutes, 300, so 1 hour, 3,600, and in one day, just imagine so many hours in one day. If you just add up all these layers of ignorance, then they will amount to a very thick heap of ignorance, mahapatala, big layer of ignorance. such a wide ocean, vast ocean or vast flood. And the Buddha has performed these perfections in order to cross these oceans until he was able to realize with the four paths and four fruit, the path and fruition knowledge of the noble ones. He had crossed, such as Tena or Monta. He has crossed these oceans, the vast oceans, since the time of his life as Sumedha, Hermit Sumedha. He had had these plans to work for the well-being of, to work for the welfare of all beings, to save all beings from suffering. So as much as he was able to be liberated from this bondage of impurities by crossing these floods, four augurs, he wanted others to cross these four floods. After crossing by himself these four kinds of vast flood ocean, he preached the Dhamma. He gave the method to all beings so that they were able to cross this four kinds of vast ocean of flood. That is, he liberated himself and then he gave the method to others to walk this path and become liberated. Such is the third kind of accomplishment or success, Satupakara Sambara. The accomplishment or success by way of working for the welfare of all beings. That he began from the 49th day of his Buddhahood. He started to implement all the plans which he had laid down all along his life. And in 24 hours, in one day, he only rested mostly 3 to 4 hours, and the rest of the period was devoted for the welfare of all beings, and he worked full time for the welfare of all beings. If one does not possess these first two accomplishments or successes, sambaras, hetu samara, phala samara, then if one says one is working for the welfare of others, then one is not the true guide. One can be said to be, such a person can be said to be an opportunist, taking an opportunity. An opportunist. He will be subject to blame or criticism by others. Not so with the Buddha. Buddha was fulfilled with the two first samaras, accomplishments or successes, namely the accomplishment of the cause and accomplishment of the result. And even if one possesses these two first samaras, if one does not possess a third one, namely one is not working for the benefit of others, welfare of others, then also one will not be respected or revered by others. Not so with the Buddha. As much as he was fulfilled with these two first samaras, accomplishments or successes, the cause and the results, and as much as he had already planned from the beginning, prior to his enlightenment, from the time of his 49th day of Buddhahood up to his Mahaparinirvana, the great passing away, or a few hours prior, just before his great passing away, he worked for the welfare of others, such as Satupakara Sambara, the accomplishment of success in terms by working for the welfare of others. Hence his epithet as a good guide. So, because he was fulfilled these samaras, Buddha was able to show the right path, Sumega, the straight path to reach the safe land, Khimata Bhumi, the land of peace and security. So, the right path has been shown, and who is going to walk this path, who is going to practice this path. And those who practice this path, or walk this path, are the Savakas or Sangha. Savaka is ordinarily translated as given as disciple, but it means those, Savaka means those who follow the advice and guidance of the Buddha respectfully and carefully and practice accordingly. So such kind of individuals are known as Savaka, and when you combine these two, Savaka and Sangha, becomes Savaka Sangha. So we shall continue with this subject of Savaka, disciple, or whoever who practices in accordance with the teachings and guidance of the Buddha, respectfully and carefully, and we can examine ourselves, so that you can examine yourself to what extent you have become qualified as Savaka. This shall be discussed tomorrow.